spaceships roam the universe, built by inventive minds who weren't afraid to fail.
There is a certain kind of personality that does not want to go along with the program and wants to think outside the box because they're curious and they want to do things that other people deem unwise. And that's where a lot of the advances come from.
The pioneer spirit of Star Wars lives in the hearts of today's inventors.
I hate it when he does that.
Who are turning the technology of fantasy into the realities of everyday existence. Space Cowboys. Science of Star Wars.
Here's where the fun begins.
Hello, and welcome to the Science of Star Wars. I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations, your host for a journey into the world of invention. No, R2, you are not the host. Now, we are going to explore new modes of communication, and need I remind you that I am fluent in over 6 million languages? Well, of course that makes me an expert. Well, you make a good point. We will also look into new modes of transportation, a subject which Arto claims to know very well, since he learned so much from our previous masters. Whether with Anakin Skywalker or Master Luke, space travel has always been quite an adventure for us. Yes, with Han Solo you were never quite sure if you'd survive the adventure at all. But sometimes the greatest discoveries are made by precisely that kind of human who takes chances and isn't afraid. I don't know what you're saying. I was never afraid.
I'm going in closer to one of the big ones.
Oh, hello, sir.
I'm a strong believer in having people think outside the box, in using your imagination, think of the impossible. It's exciting and it's fun. It may not be true, it may be ridiculous, but it's better than sitting around and moaning and groaning about the reality you find yourself in and just saying, well, I'm stuck here. But you're never stuck. You're always free to kind of recreate your reality. For somebody like me, I grew up asking big questions. I was just always interested. You know, what is reality?
Rebels of Star Wars, a ragtag group of space cowboys. But there are no ragtag space rebels on Earth. Surely the dark side of the Force has wiped them all out. Meet New Zealand's Jedi Knight, Will McPherson.
Star Wars has been a big influence on me. It had all the things that I liked, flying vehicles, robots, and real amazing science. I've seen the movie a lot of times. It's a glimpse into the future, and I sort of feel like you can bring the future to life today.
Many Star Wars droids were recycled robots looking for homes.
Uncle Owen!
Yeah?
The R2 unit has a bad motivator, look!
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Will has the same philosophy about Earth's junk. It's just a land speeder waiting to happen.
There's a lot of Kiwis that have got the can-do attitude. You know, you get out there with your number 8 wire and you go to the wreckers or the junkyard or whatever you can find. Go through your rubbish and you'll find something there you can put together and build something out of. The opportunity to reuse rubbish, it's huge because it's recycling in the rubbish dumps and places like that is where the future begins, because if you can save it from ending up in a landfill, you know, you've done something good for the environment.
His friends said it couldn't be done. But, inspired by Star Wars, and with the determination of a Jedi, Will's dreams started taking shape.
A lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
I was very inspired by the speeder bikes which were in the movie, and so that led on to me actually building my own version of that. I do see myself as a pioneer and finding new and inventive ways of recycling and reusing old junk to create a very exciting future.
The hover bike is gas-powered, air-suspended, and ready to take on the dark side of the Force.
Riding the bike is a big challenge. It's a real adrenaline rush, of course, because you're riding along on something that ain't got no wheels. You take your life in your hands when you're riding a prototype of this type of nature. It's experimental and it's held together with bits of wire and hot glue, air balancing left and right and forwards and backwards to keep the nose from just nose diving into the ground.
In the very near future, they're going to begin to find the gene that allows certain people to be bold in that way and to think outside the box and have vivid imaginations and to be able to believe in their imagination so much that they're willing to put their life on the line. And those people are usually getting into trouble anyway. But that's where the advancement comes.
When you're riding it, you do feel like Luke Skywalker. You feel like you're in the movie. It's like you're living the dream on the moon of Endor, flying through the trees on your hovering bike. So it's a big thrill. I think my ultimate project coming up will be the full-size Millennium Falcon.
Right there! Right!
I'm obviously going to have to do a lot of scavenging down at the dump down there in the recycle centre and that type of place to come up with enough parts.
I think there's a genetic reality working about man's fascination with speed. It's a pleasure center. You like to ride horses fast, you like to go down hills on sleds fast. It's a thrill. And then you take that into technology and you're talking about race cars or airplanes or whatever you're doing. But I think that is programmed into us to be not afraid of speed.
Speed, the rush of the Space Cowboy. The thing they have to have and can't get enough of. It's hot, it's sexy, it's addicting. Yeah. Unless you're these guys. The engineers who built Helios, the slowest plane on the planet. Designed by NASA's Environmental Research Aircraft and Sensor Technology Program, Helios is so slow that even with 14 propellers and a 246-foot wingspan, a person riding a bicycle makes better time. R2-D2 could outrun it in the desert. But what Helios lacks in speed, it makes up in altitude and longevity. At 100,000 feet, it flies higher than any other plane in the world. Completely solar-powered, it only needs the sun to stay airborne for 6 months. Remote-controlled, this lazy droid is designed to replace weather satellites. Slow, ugly, and it doesn't even fire a weapon. But to these Space Cowboys, it's the Millennium Falcon.
Stay alert, we could run out of space real fast.
Coming up, your very own land speeder. What do you get when you cross an R2 unit and a land speeder? The new robotic vehicle by Toyota, called the PM. This space-aged one-seat vehicle can't get you to light speed. But it does have a see-through shaftless design, which allows you to see everything from 18-wheelers to Imperial cruisers. You
you want unique, the PM's profile changes with speed. The wheelbase extends. Very handy for cruising under radar or avoiding the Empire. R2-D2, take notice. The PM could spin circles around you. With 2 joysticks, the PM is handled like an Imperial TIE fighter. It's been almost 30 years since Star Wars first came on the scene, and by this time many Jedi Knights have traded in their X-Wing fighters for X-Wing minivans or Imperial family sedans, like this 4-door called the Highwire. Fueled by a hydrogen cell, it has no engine. The whole propulsion unit is contained in an 11-inch thick skateboard-like chassis. You just plug in and go. Another vehicle on the horizon is the Hallucigenia, which combines robotic technologies with the automobile. Imagine going up slopes and staying level, or driving a slalom course without changing directions. The Hallucigenia uses a cluster of wheels that can turn individually or in concert, allowing maneuverability not possible until now. Alternative-powered cars are just the tip of the iceberg in transportation. Electromagnetic technology is being developed faster than you can say, jump to light speed.
If you could harness the power of magnetism, you can manipulate metal objects just at will. Think about it for a moment. The ability to manipulate any piece of metal in any direction. Wouldn't that be cool?
Cool kind of technology in Star Wars allows maglev transports to glide smoothly and effortlessly. On Earth, magnetic levitation or maglev trains are burning up the track in Europe and Asia. Traveling between major cities on maglev trains will one day be as quick as flying and a lot less expensive. While scientists on Coruscant have mastered magnetic powers, scientists on Earth are still trying.
We could have powerful million-Gauss magnets, just like in the movies. That's the holy grail of physics today.
Oh dear, R2-D2 has suggested that I learn to fly. But I must confess, R2, that in all our years together, I have never really enjoyed flying, and I don't think that's about to change. Race? What race? Just what, you chattering balloon? No, R2, no. I have a very bad feeling about this one. I tried that, R2, but it's not working now. Why did I ever listen to you?
Personal rockets. They've been in the minds of movie makers and inventors for years. Remember the jetpack in the 60s? It was awesome. Just slip it on like a dinner jacket and suddenly you were Buck Rogers. Unfortunately, the jetpack technology had one huge drawback. It could only fly for 20 seconds. Today, inventors are developing personal air vehicles that can get the job done.
Being able to get into your own personal air vehicle and go from one space to another has always been a dream of man. Springtail really is a whole new genus of vehicle called a powered lift vehicle, which basically means that it uses its own power to get it off the ground vertically.
As you add power to start flying, it's like levitation. The ground just falls away and you feel yourself lifting up. Fore and aft on the stick makes you go forward and backwards. Left and right banks it left and right. The left hand on the throttle is actually your altitude control.
The springtail's thrust is controlled by two 5-bladed fans. To eliminate torque, the fans turn in opposite directions and tilt individually to control pitch and yaw.
The next step beyond springtail is going to be dragonfly. where Springtail has a top speed of about 100 miles an hour and cruises about 60 or 70 miles an hour, Dragonfly's more the Maserati. It'll top 300 miles an hour. It'll cruise at 220, 240 miles an hour. Even though it's a vertical takeoff machine, it'll outrun any helicopter out there.
Next, this Millennium's Falcon takes off.
Before Star Wars burst on the scene 30 years ago, space exploration was the exclusive domain of the government and NASA. But Space Cowboy Burt Rutan shot into the history books when his craft, the Spaceship One, made it into suborbit. And a rebellion began. The next phase of that rebellion is now taking shape in El Segundo, California, where another space cowboy has his eyes on the stars.
The dream of a spacefaring civilization is something that I've had for a long time, since I was a kid. I think anyone who liked Star Wars kind of thought that would be really cool.
30-something billionaire Elon Musk is trying to trump Burt Rutan's success by launching the first private rocket into outer space. His company, Space Exploration Technologies' sole mission is to launch this rocket called the Falcon.
The structure of the rocket as a whole has to be phenomenally efficient to a degree that people don't even comprehend.
You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs. She's fast enough for you, old man.
Named after Han Solo's ship, the Millennium Falcon, this 68-foot-tall Falcon is costing Musk $6 million just to launch. But in order for it to make it into space, a huge number of obstacles must be overcome.
Although you can make the jump to light speed.
Take a few moments to get the coordinates from the Navicomputer.
Are you kidding? The rate they're gaining?
Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dust and crops, boy. Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova and then end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
Musk's first challenge? Find a set of rebels willing to take on the Empire.
It requires such deep levels of expertise in disparate fields, in rocket propulsion, in structural design, aerodynamics, control theory, avionics, electronics, all these things. There are very few people in the world that can do the things that we need done. And I wasn't just looking for anyone, I was looking for the dream team. As the launch day is approaching, I think everyone here is excited, nervous. It's a big day. I mean, there are a few things that have the risk of catastrophic failure as a rocket does.
Like the rebellion, Musk has a track record of success. And if the Force is with him, the Falcon may take him to his ultimate goal.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Oh, I'd forgotten how much I hate space travel.
If the sun, the moon, and the stars align and things really work out well, SpaceX will play a significant role in taking people to other planets.
Japanese say, the nail that stands out gets pounded down. Even if you're successful, you have a large number of critics. You upset the boat, and they are very angry about it.
It's not my fault. No light speed. It's not my fault.
If you're not successful, then you get pounded into the ground, but it was a good try.
Turn her around.
I said turn her around. I'm going to put all power on the front shield.
You're going to attack them?
Sir, the odds of surviving a direct assault on an Imperial Star Destroyer...
Shut up!
I'd rather have tried and not succeeded than not tried at all. You know, there is no smooth course for the Maverick.
Speed, just one important aspect of a personal transport device such as this peculiar machine. Yes, it does look like some sort of speeder. Try it out? Never. I'm not going to get on that. I've seen what happens when speeders get out of control.
If I didn't get the hell scared out of me once a year, I would not have the proper balance to design aircraft. I want us to come up with an aircraft that can rule the skies. The words of Kelly Johnson, the granddaddy of all space cowboys, the Wild Bill Hickok of aircraft design, who for 50 years struck fear and awe in the hearts of the enemy. The P-38 Lightning, the Mach 2 F-104 Starfighter, the high-altitude U-2 spy plane. Just a few of the 44 aircraft he designed. Johnson's crown jewel and the wildest stallion any space cowboy ever attempted to wrangle. The SR-71, the Blackbird. Breakthrough in stealth design, the SR-71 was carefully shaped and used special paint to absorb radar. Over 1,000 missiles have been shot at the Blackbird. Not one has caught it. The only thing that slowed it down was heat. The skin temperature of the Blackbird reached 600 degrees, enough to melt the conventional airframe. Thinking outside the box, Johnson built a heat-resistant titanium alloy skin around the aluminum frame, and the Blackbird was cool and in business. A Soviet MiG pilot once tried to chase the Blackbird. He said afterwards, "I could not match its speed. I could not believe such technologies existed." Space Cowboy Kelly Johnson had defeated the Empire.
Up next, deep dives from Naboo to the Mariana Trench.
The vastness of space. Outer space and inner space. Frontiers for the Space Cowboys, who ride their technological steeds into the great unknown.
We need all these ideas, all these inventions, all this movement of science to get us through the next million years. We're in a race. We're in a race with other life forms, and we're also in a race against the realities of the universe.
Graham Hawkes, pioneer and adventurer, who, if he had a say, would have titled the greatest movie saga ever, Starfish Wars.
The ratio of life habitat is something like 94% of all life on this planet is aquatic. That means that you and I, monkeys, apes, all the cuddly things, are just 6%. We don't know this planet. Because, you know, from our point of view, have you explored it until you've seen it? So if you say, what part of the planet have human eyes seen, it's way less than a half.
Traveling the depths of the ocean has been the stuff of science fiction or massive submarines. Hawks is changing that with his own personal brand of submersibles.
A normal sub has to vent his tanks, get heavy, and sink. What we do is we sit on the surface. We have no tanks. We're always positively buoyant. Push forward gently on the stick. The tail comes up. And these wings have an inverted lift section, so they behave like wings on an aircraft. Instead of lifting it up against gravity, we pull down against buoyancy. So you tilt the nose down, and then you increase the thrust, and you fly down.
Hawk's goal? To reach the ocean's deepest location, the Mariana Trench, 37,000 feet down. It's the underwater equivalent of Mount Everest. Some say it's impossible. Hawks isn't listening.
The solutions don't come from the way everyone else is thinking, because that means you can't do it. Solutions come by just closing your ears to everyone who says you can't do it. And just opening your mind.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Why not? Do. Or do not. There is no try. All invention starts with the imagination. Yes, an idea must take shape in the human brain before it can become a reality. Yes, R2, someone had to think of you before you could be built. Indeed, someone had to think of me as well. Oh, yes. And whoever that was clearly a wise and wonderful person. No, whoever thought of you was simply annoying. Well, at least it wasn't Darth Vader. Huh. Really, R2, I don't know what you're talking about.
Space Cowboys are getting us through the universe with remarkable ease. Other engineers are using technology to get us through the hard times when tragedy strikes. 6 years ago, John Uhas was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, a progressive neurological disease where the lines of communication from the brain to the voluntary muscles break down.
It was devastating. I mean, it's when you're told you're going to die in a few years, it's a tough thing to take. I was a fairly active person. I was single. I skied a lot. I golfed a lot. I piloted small airplanes. As the disease progressed, I went from walking normally to walking with a cane, then walking with a walker. I ended up with a manual wheelchair for a while, then a powered scooter, and then a full-blown electric wheelchair. At each one of those steps, my world got smaller. You can climb stairs with a cane. You can't really climb stairs with a walker. Once you get to a scooter and a wheeled device, the smallest obstruction, a 3-inch curb or a 3-inch threshold, cuts you off from the rest of the world.
Dean Kamen, the renegade inventor, recently developed a technology called dynamic stabilization, which is the genius behind this personal vehicle, the Segway, and the iBot. Kamen's goal? To empower people like John with self-reliance and accessibility.
John knew about this chair for quite a long time. He had been following the development, and he was very excited about it. He was the first one on the list. He was in constant contact with Johnson & Johnson.
The iBot has 5 modes of function. Essentially, it's got a standard mode, a 4-wheel drive mode, a stair climbing mode, a balance mode, and a remote mode. There's a joystick, which moves it both laterally, forward, and back. Essentially, it's a set of gyros that senses motion and momentum, and it's 3 computers that decide what to do with that information in order to keep me upright. The best mode is the balance mode. And again, you go through a series of buttons, and it lifts itself up into position. And this is the mode that's used most of the time. The chair is much more maneuverable, much more easy to get around with. You need less space to make a turn, and it makes one more human. I can speak to someone eye to eye in a room crowded with people or meeting them on the street. It's a much more natural way to be. It makes a tremendous difference. But believe it or not, the biggest benefit of this chair is the ability to breach or get over those 3-inch thresholds.
I didn't really understand what all the fuss was about, why it was so important, until we went to the training and I watched John's eyes light up as he put the chair in the balance mode and came up to eye level with me and looked right in my eyes. And it was an amazing, amazing thing.
I honestly believe this thing is extending my life, and certainly it's improving the quality of my life. I don't like to think about not having it.
Up next, new ways to catch air.
In recent years, the world of entertainment has experienced a most prolific advance in technology. Yes, Artu, I know you were a part of it, but it's rather rude to boast. Now, this device is for making music. The Gibson guitar is completely digital. No, Artu, I don't think you'd make a good guitarist at all. You haven't got any fingers.
Hey, 3PO. I'm Billy Morrison, and this Gibson Les Paul has actually revolutionized the way the guitarist can play guitar. The 6 strings of the guitar can be isolated, and therefore we have control over the volume, EQ, pan, and effects of each string, and it makes it absolutely incredible to play. We can make it sound like this, and you can get... Check this out.
Most impressive. Now, that's how it's done, Artu. No, you can't try the drums either. Look, you simply weren't programmed for melody or rhythm.
Music, an important form of communication. Whether you're a party alien at Jabba the Hutt or a party animal here on Earth, for the intrepid hero on the go, your life needs a great soundtrack and the top-tech talk device. When you're on a remote ice planet battling the evil of the universe, it's always nice to have a trick up your sleeve or on your sleeve. And the same is true for Earth's heroes.
Echo 3 to Echo 7. Ano, buddy, do you read me?
Just because a person chooses to drop out of sight for a weekend, it doesn't mean he should let go of his lifeline to the world, his music and his telephone. MP3 Blue Jacket is taking the trendy worlds of clothing, music, and communication and stitching them together tighter than Darth Vader's mechanical fist.
Calling Bob. Hello?
Hey, Bobby, what's up?
Hey, Mark.
What you doing?
I'm just leaving work now.
I'm heading out myself. Want to meet down the hill in half an hour?
Yeah, hold on a second. I have another call.
A Bluetooth cell phone with a hands-free microphone in the collar and a 128 megabyte MP3 player are integrated into the fabric of the jacket and controlled with buttons on the sleeve.
Hey, I'll meet you at Rose's in half an hour.
Sounds great. You're buying.
Radio.
Extreme communications for extreme conditions. What soars above heavy traffic faster than a lightsaber strike and stores in the average garage? It's not an X-Wing fighter. It's the M400 Skycar, designed by Moeller International.
The Skycar's like a high-performance airplane. It has a range of 750 miles, a capability of carrying 4 people up to 300 miles an hour in cruise at 25,000 feet. And, of course, because you can take off and land vertically, you can land anywhere. And by driving, you're also able to go right to your home at some point. We built this incredible engine that is tiny, powerful, low emissions, quiet, vibration-free, and that's what makes the Sky Car possible.
That's perfect.
8 engines housed in 4 separate pods power the Sky Car on its aerial journey. The pods rotate 45 degrees to provide vertical lift, or forward thrust as needed. And like having an R2 unit on board, sophisticated software allows the Sky Car to literally fly itself.
Computers are really making this vehicle work, taking that load off of you that means that you have to be skilled.
You know I don't like it when you do that. I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is suicide.
In the world that I'm envisioning, you drive your Sky Car to a vertiport, put in your destination, just code it in. It'll pull you onto the airway network when there's a space for you, which at the beginning won't be difficult. You're able to sleep, play computer games, read whatever on the way, and you're out of that traffic jam in the process. You can't ask for more than that.
Get I told you!
Dr. Paul Mahler flying the M200X. This is a test bed.
Why I got into this thing is because I wanted to fly this. And one of the thrills of my life has been those special days when I get to fly it. It's the true magic carpet sensation. You take off, no vibration, relatively low noise levels. You're actually lifted up from below rather than being drawn up from above like a helicopter. It gives you a totally different emotional experience. It's always, of course, some risk. But, you know, without risk, where's the excitement?
Next, chasing light and light speed.
In Attack of the Clones, Count Dooku made his cowardly escape with the help of this solar sail, a craft pushed through space by capturing photons from the sun, like a sailboat captures the wind. Solar sail technology requires no rockets. It's extremely fast. And like turning a giant fan onto a sailboat, the solar sail can go faster if you shoot a laser beam of light on it. That's exactly what the scientists at the University of Washington are doing with their mag beam technology.
What we do here is study how things can be made to go faster. You just can't strap on an extra booster on the space shuttle and take us to Mars. And that's because of the inherent speed limit of the fuel that we use. And instead of your chemical rockets where the propellant comes out at 4 kilometers per second, we make stuff go 10 times faster. At 50 kilometers is our speed record today, and we hope to go even faster. In Star Wars, you had great honking iron engines, and they were pushing the spacecraft around. What we're doing here under MagBeam is keeping the power units on a large space station like what we have presently. And that way you beam the power to your spacecraft. Okay, so imagine a particle beam 1,000 times more energetic than this beam here. And as you deflect or change the direction of the beam, you can go just about anywhere in the solar system you want it to go.
In the time it takes to watch a couple of Star Wars episodes, blasting particles can accelerate a ship to maximum velocity. Then it cruises till a station at the opposite end fires a beam to slow the ship down and pull it into orbit, like a Star Wars tugboat. So a round trip to Mars could happen in 90 days. A long vacation, yes, but just 10% of the time the journey takes now.
To me, the success is that we do maintain a permanent human presence beyond low Earth orbit. The solar system is filled with riches, both scientifically, economically, and socially. And we need to get out there and explore it.
Once enough mag beam stations are in place, Dr. Wingley sees this as a permanent infrastructure, making travel around our solar system cheap and as easy as a jump to light speed.
Got something jammed in here real good. Were you on a Star Cruiser?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What's this?
What is what? He asked you a question. What is that?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Hello. I'm Anthony Daniels. You know me as C-3PO. That scene in the first Star Wars film ever was one of my favorites. The technology, it seemed so advanced at the time. But today, the idea of capturing and projecting three-dimensional images isn't far-fetched at all.
Squad leaders, we've picked up a new group of signals. Enemy fighters coming your way.
My scope's negative. I don't see anything.
Pick up your visual scanning.
Here they come.
Watch it, you've got one on your tail.
The helo display projects video into the air by creating a thermal differential that occurs above the display, by creating condensate. This condensate allows for certain optical properties to occur within a specified region.
Wait.
Still in the developmental stage, the helo display is generating interest from defense contractors, casinos, and retailers who are attracted to the 3D image and the ability to manipulate it.
The tracking system within the helo display allows for the monitoring of any type of physical intrusion within this space. And that could be a hand, a pencil, a stylus. You can think of this device in a conference room setting where an image is projected in the middle of the conference room table. And instead of everybody turning around and staring at the wall for a PowerPoint presentation, now they can have this information displayed in the center of the room.
Cruisers will create a perimeter while the fighters fly into the superstructure and attempt to knock out the main reactor.
Even if you're not a rebel planning an attack on the Empire, the idea of bringing images off of the screen and into the real world is compelling.
This is my apprentice, Darth Maul. We will find your lost ship.
The future of communication may indeed lie in devices such as this holotron. It has special curved mirrors that can project an image the size of an office block. So in the near future, instead of seeing a billboard for a car, you might find a huge 3D image of a vehicle hanging in midair. Rather than placing real tanks and artillery on battlefields, combatants could use holograms to scare off their enemies with images of weaponry that isn't actually there.
Imagination, innovation, inspiration. The magic of Star Wars has fueled Space Cowboys to push further, travel farther, and turn dreams into realities.
You know, we're just slowly waking up out of our cave, for God's sakes. This is the best time. In the next, 200,000 or 300,000 years will be fantastic. It's great to be alive.
Coming up next, your journey to a galaxy far, far away continues. See how a science fiction trilogy that's over 30 years old has influenced today's military technology on Science of Star Wars, War, Weapons, and the Force.